everyone, it's Emily, and I've had this YouTube channel now for over 4 years, but within the last year, I started adding live streaming to my regular rotation. And I've gotten a lot of questions about how has live streaming gone for me? Do I get to play more games than ever before? And is it weird streaming to strangers online? And I've also been asked questions about whether or not it's been detrimental to my channel as a whole. So I'm going to lay it all out there with numbers and everything and share what my experience has been like after 1 year of live streaming. So it's kind of funny looking back at my entire content creation journey, because when I started making content on YouTube, I was pretty adamantly against making any sort of live stream be on the regular rotation. Mostly because I was intimidated by the whole medium. I didn't really have a good setup at the time. It wasn't until years later that I had a nice PC that I would feel comfortable using OBS and doing live broadcasting and all that. And I also just didn't really think I would be entertaining enough to captivate an audience for extended periods of time while they watch me play a game. So it wasn't really until last year, when I found myself in between jobs with a lot of time on my hands, that I thought, I've been asked this a few times and it looks kind of fun, so let's give live streaming a try. And so I started my first ever live stream on YouTube only. That was before I started any sort of multi-streaming. And I decided to go with Psychonauts as my first ever game, mostly because it was a very nostalgic game for me. And I was meaning to replay it because I was really wanting to play Psychonauts 2, but I figured because it had been like 20 years since I had last played Psychonauts on the PS2, that I was due for a refresher to see how it would go. And I would say I was pleasantly surprised by how many people tuned in to see me play Psychonauts and just to chat with me. And there are, of course, bumps along the way with all the different sound board kind of mixings, and that was a little bit frustrating, especially I think when I first started live, I didn't have my mic on. But despite all the things that went wrong at the beginning of the stream, eventually figured out all the, the settings and things to make it work. And I had a great time. It was a lot of fun, talking to members of my community and, get to interact with them with a back and forth live. I had previously done some live streaming, but it wasn't on my channel at all. And it wasn't playing games. It was mostly doing some kind of like live podcast show thing. So it's not that I've never been live on camera before that time. It was just more of, there was this intimidation that I have to keep up with the chat while also keep up with the game. I wasn't really sure if I would be up to the multitasking it takes to, I think, be a successful live streamer. And of course I was afraid, because whenever I make my videos, I'm always kind of chopping them up, because even though I don't script my videos at all, my thoughts and trying to make coherent sentences, it's not the most natural thing for me. So I was kind of afraid that would this also just be very apparent when I'm live on stream, that I can't always form my sentences super coherently as I would like, or speak as eloquently as I would like. But despite all of my reservations, I felt very comfortable in that first live stream, despite, of course, all the technical difficulties. But it really made me motivated to try it again, and to beat Psychonauts live on stream and also add some more games to my rotation. So it was actually a very positive experience, I think, the first time I went live. And it was, of course, very nice to have members of my community there to support me. And so I felt kind of validated, like, okay, I think this is something that I should do more often. And I did. So basically what I'm trying to get at here is that I'm glad I did start live streaming, because I think if I didn't and just kept to my kind of comfort zone of just making videos like once a week and share my thoughts through that medium instead, I wouldn't have taken, the risks and reaped the rewards, really, of what live streaming has given me. Because I do think that one of my main motivators for starting YouTube was to be better at just public speaking in general. And live streaming really kicked that up a notch, I won't lie. I feel like I'm so much more comfortable just speaking my thoughts out plainly, without having to be too concerned about, did I word this correctly? And I've also noticed it just in my long form videos. I don't have to edit them as much as I used to. But there's, of course, downsides to streaming, which I'll get into. There's, of course, bad actors who come in and try to get you to react in some way. There's also, the fear of parasocial relationships and that people become too attached in a scary way, especially as a female content creator online. But to be honest, I haven't had that many bad experiences. There have, of course, been some, strange weirdos who pop in my stream every now and then, but that's the importance of having moderation, which has been very useful, and I'm very thankful to all my mods who are there for me to watch my back. But usually whenever there's a bad actor, they don't just try to pester me multiple times. They kind of give up and move on with their lives, which they should, rather than trying to bug, someone who's just trying to have fun and play games. But when it comes to my channel itself, it's been interesting trying to add a new sort of content to my regular rotation, because at first, I don't think there was that much backlash when it came to my channel analytics of adding a couple of live streams here and there. It wasn't until, I want to say, maybe a month or two after I started live streaming, I noticed a huge plummet in subscriptions. Because I think a lot of people, I even had people comment this on videos, saying that they're not here to watch me play games. That's not what they signed up for, so sayonara is basically what they would say. And some of them said it in a very mean way, which I was kind of shocked by, because of course, as someone who also, I subscribe to a lot of YouTubers, people who live stream and those who don't. And even though I don't always, look for their live stream content, it's easy to ignore. So I was really shocked that my subs, I'll have the numbers up here, just drastically just went in the negative for a few months there. And it kind of made me wonder, wait, am I really doing the right thing in doing this not just on YouTube? I know a lot of people who started a YouTube channel and then started live streaming, they would stop live streaming on YouTube because they also noticed a drop in subs, and just went over exclusively to Twitch as, the platform to go to. I didn't really want to do that because I thought that would just sort of compartmentalize my content when I wanted it all to be integrated, because, this is a gaming channel. I talk about games, and I wanted to, for those interested, see, how I play games or how I interact with games. I don't think those should necessarily be separated, though there are plenty of people who, of course, have their own, streaming channels and things like that. I just didn't really see a point in doing that. And I also came to the realization that even though I was dropping a lot of subs, as you could see here, during kind of the start of my live stream journey on YouTube, I was just, cleansing it. There are people who just didn't want to be there, and maybe they weren't even watching my videos to begin with. Subscriptions numbers, they're just a number. That's not really an important metric, I think, nowadays. That's why that's never been something I've emphasized in my videos. I don't tell people, please subscribe, at the start of my videos or anything like that, because it's nice if people want to show their support through a subscription, but it's not necessary. The algorithm, of course, is not driven by subscription numbers. It's more of who actually just watches it. And I just want people who watch my content to, stay. And it's okay if people decided, my new content wasn't for them. They were totally free to leave. It would have been nice if they weren't nasty about it, of course, but, it's the internet. A lot of nasty folk out there. But I think the huge benefit of me live streaming, it's not monetary. I'll show some numbers because I'm not afraid to share the numbers here. You can see that I don't make that much money on YouTube through AdSense, but it was nice to also to diversify my content, that it's not everything is on YouTube. I started also on Twitch multi-streaming, and I've been pretty happy with how that's been going. It's been slowly growing over time. I never really wanted to just start it and be overwhelmed by a ton of people, of course, tuning in. So it's been, a nice steady growth that I've really come to cherish my time with both Twitch and YouTube chat. And now that you're able to integrate both chats in the same place on screen. Before, they made it so there were rules where you couldn't show a YouTube chat on Twitch or anything like that, but now they don't really care. So that's been really great to kind of harmonize those two communities so they could still, interact with one another. So I would say really the biggest benefit of live streaming outside of the community, of course, and getting to interact with my community is definitely my ability to play more games and talk more about games. I think this has been helpful not only for my podcast, where I get to talk about JRPGs every week and talk about games I'm playing and have more of a repository of games I can refer to and talk about. Because before, I really, as someone who has multiple hobbies, it was hard for me to balance gaming and fit that in. But because live streaming had become more of my regular routine, I've been able to play a lot of games, and including a lot of new releases that prior I would just wait for whenever they were on sale. But because of my relationship with different publishers and opportunities through those avenues, I've been able to introduce a lot of games to my audience early, or at least day one, so they could kind of get an idea of what those games are like, and I could also have an opportunity to play through them and talk about them, whether to recommend or not recommend, depending on what people are looking for. But I guess some other lessons I've learned while live streaming for the past year, I've been trying to really nail down a good, consistent schedule and also navigate different time zones, because if you look at my YouTube analytics, well, North America is kind of the largest population of people who watch my content. There's still plenty of people across the sea over in Europe, or the UK, and Australia, Asia, who also watch it and want to tune in on live streams. So I've been trying to find a good way to harmonize that with my own live stream schedule recently, and also just balance, what type of games I play. I found the most success doing first impressions for new games, because a lot of people who come to my channel are often collectors or just people who like games, and they want to see what games they should add to their collections and eventually play in their backlog. And so a lot of the times whenever there's a brand new release, they don't really want to watch me play a brand new release all the way through. They just want me to see like a couple sessions of that game and then decide on their own if that's a game they want to pick up. So I found myself trying to play more older games on my channel, because that just fits, I think, my channel demographic the best. Allow games that people have played before to tune in to see what my reactions would be of the first time I've been playing them, or my replay of them after X amount of years. And also give an opportunity for those who've never played it before, but they decide for one reason or another they don't think they'll ever get around to it, be able to tune in and watch me play them as well. So that's been, I think, a delight, being able to figure out, what sort of content to share with my community. Another thing that I've noticed is because I mostly play and stream RPGs, those could also be a little bit tricky to navigate in the live stream format. Mostly because it requires people who want to follow along with the story to be there, or at least watch the VOD of every single one of my sessions. And that could be intimidating in the length and commitment in order to, be up to date. And it's hard to just kind of jump in every now and then to see how it is, how the game's going, and just to chat. So because of that, I don't really see myself stopping RPG streams, because those are just the games I play. I've been adding different types of genres into my rotation, like platformers or shooting games, survival horror, and I think adding that variety has been fun, not just for me to play with different genres, because I do like other gaming genres than just JRPGs, but also just give an opportunity for those who not necessarily want to watch me play an RPG, but could watch me play something else. I think the biggest takeaway I've had is that while there are plenty of people who want to watch me play games, the biggest thing that they want to be there for is to chat. And so at the start of my streams, I always just have like 15 to like half an hour, sometimes it even goes longer, of a just chatting session, which has been interesting, because I think a lot of people want to be there just to talk about games, about the the news that has just come about, or I talk about food a lot, so we talk about food a ton in my just chatting sessions. And because I think of how popular just having a live stream where I talk about games rather than necessarily play them, I've added to my regular rotation now a Orbital Chats live stream option. So every Wednesday now, if there's not going to be a new release that I'll be doing like a first impressions stream for, I'm going to just have a dedicated just chatting live stream, and to talk about recent news or just other kind of gaming things that people don't necessarily need to be up to date with a live stream if I'm playing a game, or they don't want to, avoid spoilers as much as possible, not want to tune in because of that. So I think that's going to also be a good marriage of what I want to kind of build this channel up to be more community focused, and also just have an opportunity to talk about games and collecting. But definitely, I think live streaming has helped me beat more games, especially in my backlog. So right now, this year, I've beaten over 20 games between both new releases and my backlog, which is crazy because some of those are very long games. I'm looking at you, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But it's been, I think, a great opportunity for me, again, just to widen my horizons of the games out there and be able to speak to them and give solid recommendations or suggestions for people who are looking for, games they want to add to their collections or to get around to, dusting them off the backlog and playing them. So has live streaming been detrimental to my channel? There are some aspects it kind of has, mostly with the balancing of my content. I've been trying to get better at this, where I'm trying to release more of my regular long form videos that people initially, subscribe to my channel to begin with. And I think I have found a good solid way where I could at least release 2 videos a week now. Sometimes a bonus one, like this is the 3rd video from this week. But for the most part, I think I have found a good way to balance it. I would like to also balance short form content because I know that has also been popular. I still need to find a rhythm of how to make those. Because as someone who's done long form content for so long, it's hard for me to still transition to short form and make that entertaining or interesting to watch. So something I'm still trying to dabble in, maybe get back to once that process kind of clicks with me. But for the most part, I think this channel, it's all about gaming, about what games are worth collecting in a curated collection. It's been really my focus, and me being able to play new releases to see which ones I want to add back to my collection physically and which ones I want to, tackle in my backlog to see if they're worth keeping around. I think it really fits with the theme of my channel. I know live stream is not going to be content everyone wants to watch, but I do think it's going to be a benefit to my viewers, even if they don't watch my live stream content. That way I'm able to, just speak more to games and have a better idea what type of games I can recommend and what games I want to personally pursue. I hope this video was interesting to you guys, a little insight of how live streaming has been going for me. I do plan on continuing with live streaming, but again, just trying to balance it a little bit better with my long form content and have a nice marriage of both, because I think both content is very valuable for the viewers here. I hope this also inspires those who've been thinking about live streaming and something to maybe consider. I do recommend, of course, starting on YouTube or another platform before just going live, because I have not had this experience myself because I was on YouTube for 3 years before I started live streaming. But I'm sure, going live to like 0 viewers can be very intimidating and a little disheartening at first. And that's why so many streamers quit within, after the first time that they go live. It's always nice to have someone there in chat so that you don't feel, isolated or alone whenever you're going on live. If you are someone who's made videos but want to also transition to live streams, I also hope this encourages you to not feel intimidated. Just give it a try. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But at least you've tried. But yeah, I want to take this time now to thank all of my channel members for helping make videos like these, as well as my live streams, possible. And a huge shout out to my Orbit Architect level members, Trin, Night Noctum, George, Just Another Joe, Dan, Scott Healy, Osman, Steven, Joe, Champagne Sherpa, Skylit Sane, Glenavere, I'm Aki, and Jonathan. Thank you so much for all of your support. Well, that's everything I wanted to share in this video. If you guys are interested in maybe me doing a follow-up in the future, and if there's something you would like me to speak to specifically, if you have questions, you can leave them down in the comments. I'll try to get to them. If not, at least in the next live stream, I can address them. But that's all for me, and until my next video. Bye, everyone.